fans, welcome to Race on 1919. Today I'm going to have a look back to the weekend, have a wee bit more of an analytical viewpoint on it, stats and things. Probably a wee bit pissed off yesterday, emotional podcast. That's just the way it is. Leeds fans are mental, like we are mental. It's a roller coaster of emotions. I've got quite a few notes and all noted down, so we'll be looking at the phone, etc. That I've taken. But that game stung. It hurt because it was there for the taking, in my opinion. I think we had some really good performers. As I said, the midfield was very good. There's three central midfielders, but it was the atmosphere as well. You could hear it. I wasn't at the ground, it was on the TV, but 37,000 Leeds fans going mental, at the whole game. The atmosphere was brilliant to hear it, and it was a lot of fans actually couldn't get over because of Storm Amy, and the club wouldn't refund their tickets, but that's a different story. So I don't actually know what they could have done. They couldn't go. The planes weren't going because of obviously the storm. The club could have bloody took the tickets back and sold them to somebody else that is in Leeds who's looking tickets. We all know how hard it is to get tickets, so I think it's really poor from the club. There's hundreds of fans that couldn't go from Northern Ireland because of the storm, and I think overall the club missed out there. But I'm gonna have a look. Look, we've been unbeaten since September last year at home. So Spurs coming down the road's not an easy task for Spurs. I think we done well through the game. I actually said yesterday we dominate. We did dominate large parts of the game. The difference between the two teams, and this is the Premier League, is once you get a chance, Ian Wright says it all the time, if you get a chance you have to take it. And we had a couple of really good chances. DCL had a really good chance, keeper saves it. But we need to be more clinical whenever it comes to our strikers. But anyway, I digress. So Spurs are going into the international break after a European game. Usually they don't win that game, and we of course break that curse or break that spell. We handed them 3 points. Well, we handed them 3 points anyway. I really do want to run around in Aronson, but it's frustrating, very frustrating, because if you look at the 2 goals that they scored, Pascal has almost blocked both of them. I said he's a half a yard off, and he's probably a half a yard off in pace, but it just left the keeper no chance. I've reviewed that first goal, and the keeper's totally wrong-footed. So the way the deflections went, his body shape's in the wrong place, and he's tried to correct, and he can't get his hand up. So, Darlow could have done better, but at the end of the day, it was just the way it deflected. I think he probably would have had it not deflected, but that's really that. It's really difficult to critique someone who has been playing well all season, Gudmundsson, but he has scored an own goal, a freak own goal against Fulham, and then the goal yesterday, I don't know, or the other day, I don't know what he's doing. What is he doing? Is he trying to chest it, or he's trying to play? I don't know. And as soon as he did that, I thought, right, there's a goal. Curtis breaks it and comes in. Obviously, we know he's good. He's a 40-50 million pound player. And again, the deflection beats Darlow. He's got no chance in that second goal. But Gudmundsson he was complete liability in that goal. But going forward and defensively throughout this season so far, he's been, in my opinion, my favourite player. I think he's done very well. There are two fullbacks, and Bogle is not getting an awful lot of plaudits this season yet, but he is doing the same. He's a machine up and down that wing. He's more a winger than he is a fullback, to be fair. Um, my concern about the two goals is the positioning of the centre backs. So Pascal is a yard or a half a yard off both times, but if he's in the correct position to begin with, it should be easy enough to block or at least shepherd them away, push them out, get in their road so they can't have a shot. But I think maybe I'm being a bit rough on him, but I think I personally think it's time to take him out of the team. I think Bijol, we signed him for a reason. And Pascal, now that's a number of times this season, he's been a half a yard off. The Arsenal game, he was 5 yards off. But then it's Arsenal. But yeah, I just don't think that's it's good enough for what we need from him. Brandon, I got annoyed with Brandon, as we all know, and I've written down a couple of times here. So, the problem with Brandon is a very polarizing player. Some fans like him, some fans don't. And it's not that I don't like him. He's probably a very nice person, but as a player, I don't know what he brings to the team. He's small. He's got a low centre of gravity. He runs forever, but he just doesn't have the physicality. I do not get it. He went down about 3-4 times easily. And the thing is, it's almost sometimes he falls over the ball. He's doing pirouettes or whatever they're called, and he's dancing into a defender or into a midfielder, and it's really frustrating. He was fouled a couple of times this season, but it was really frustrating for us to watch him yesterday. He lost 7 ground duels the day before against Spurs. He was dispossessed a lot. He lost the ball 22 times. 22 times Spurs turned us over. 22 times that Brendan Aronson gave the ball away. 22 times that they tried to hit us on the counter. All because Brendan is not up for it for physicality. Leeds had an overall pass completion rate yesterday of 84%. Brendan Aronson was lower than that. That's the average across the team. Brendan Aronson is one of the lowest at 78% of accurate passing. But his 22 turnovers were costly. If we had a more direct player, a Dan James, or if the 49ers had went into the fucking transfer market and bought a winger, we would have been playing to our strengths with DCL. Now, the thing about it is, whenever we did put on the subs in Amacha and DCL, we changed the tactics. We went sort of like a 3-4-3, and I understand that. But the thing about it is, we need to get the ball in the box, and we didn't do that. Brendan, I just don't know what. I'm not blaming this on Brendan Aronson, but in general, if you've got 3 men, Perot, Nemacha, and DCL up front, you need to land the ball in the box. We didn't do that once. We're pissing about with it at the back. Really, really frustrating. So at the minute, we are sitting 12th or 13th in the league with 8 points, 2 wins, 2 draws, 3 defeats. Spurs have went up to 3rd. They're on 14 points. The thing about it is, we're not that far off. You're only 6 points off 4th place. And the reality after 7, the reality is we can beat anybody in the league if we played our strengths. We're meant to have Anlo's meant to be a fortress, and I just don't understand what happened. Like, the referee didn't help it. The referee was abysmal, and we all know that. But We have to show up and fight for ourselves. Like, our next match is against Burnley. So we need to be clinical against them. They're actually going forward quite a lot this season. Um, in our last game, this is the problem that we had against Spurs. We had 16 shots, and 3 of them were big chances. I think we had 4 on target. That's not good enough. Yes, we hit the post. That's fine. But it's not good enough. We dominated possession. We created chances. 2 deflected goals against us. But we just weren't clinical. That's the key to the Premier League. We just were not clinical with our chances. So we have to get better at that. Will Lucas Perry come back? I think he does. Will he not though? He comes back, he goes in the team, in my opinion. I think if we have Lucas Perry, Bijol, and Aronson in that team, Aronson get out, Willie Ronaldo in that team with DCL up front, that's a lot stronger than what we were at the weekend against Spurs. There's that. It's a decent squad depth when you're bringing those players in, but after 16 and 17, you down to those type. We're in trouble because we have a very small squad. You remember that this is a 25-man squad, and we only have 24 players, and 4 of them are goalkeepers. So, and we have now James out for 4 to 6 weeks. So we are down to 19, 18 outfield players. The reality is we're playing Burnley next, and the next 5 games are teams in and around us, or they're currently, and they're not in great form. And we do have a chance. I genuinely believe 2 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat in the next 5. Then you go into like Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Like realistically, it's about keeping goals down there. You know, it's not about winning; it's about keeping the goals down. But these 5 games before that are key. If we can get 10 points out of those 5 games, get 9 or 10 points, we'll be absolutely flying. Listen, I could go on and go into detail of and start blitzing Daniel Farke, but like the thing about it is Daniel Farke was. I cried him all the time about making subs. Like he should have made a sub at halftime with Brendan Aronson. It was quite clear that Spurs were not concerned about Aronson in any set piece or in any way, shape, or form. They never covered him. They actually doubled up on our left side on Okafor. So what happened was their defence and their midfield focused on Okafor because they know he's got an output, whereas Brendan Aronson doesn't. The only thing Brendan has 2 shots on target the entire season. And then we have 7 games. That's not good enough in the Premier League. The man's just not strong. He's not strong enough, and he goes down far, far too easy. The refs are going to be refs. They don't like that. But Farke should have made a sub at halftime, in my opinion, and put Harrison on for him. I know that some people don't like Harrison for obvious reasons, and that's fine. I understand that. But those same people have forgiven Brendan Aronson, have forgiven Willie Ronaldo. You know what I mean? These players are playing on our team. They also spot the dummies out there a while back, and people seem to love them. So let's get your head out of your ass, you know. It's business. That's what it is. If you're paying a man 80 grand a week, you're not going to put him in your reserves, are you? And just because you don't like him doesn't mean he's not better than what we have. So if he's better than what we have that's currently starting, then Harrison needs to start over Aronson. Simple as that. If we're down to Brendan Aronson in the wing, we're in big trouble because we're not going to create anything against the big teams. It's been a hard couple of days to digest that defeat because I think we deserve so much more out of the game. Spurs are a good team, but they're not the Spurs of 3 years ago. I've said that so many times. They don't have Harry Kane. You know, we get undone by, I think, ourselves. Bad positioning in centre backs. Poor goalkeeping for the first goal. Poor midfield by Longstaff for for the first goal, I think it was, and the second goal it was per Big Bunsen. So it was just a generational failure when it come to conceding the goals. It was poor, but in general, all around the players that he named there, like Good Munson was fine. He played really well. He didn't get the balls in the box that we're accustomed to or we need him to. And DCL needs help up front, and he's not getting it from Brendan Aronson. So Brendan Aronson, thanks lad, but you should be on the bench. Listen, if anybody wants to debate me, give me a shout. If you've lasted this long, like, comment, and subscribe. We go live. We can record a video. We can do whatever you want to do. It's more than I'm more than happy to debate anybody about my decisions or my thoughts on the team. I'm sure they'll rattle a few people, but it is what it is. That's where we're Leeds. Everybody's got different opinions, and they're entitled to do that. They're entitled to have a different opinion. Doesn't make it right though. Doesn't make mine right either. But that's what debate's about. You're sitting down, two sides that don't particularly get on, and talk it out. See where you meet in the middle. It is what it is. Listen, thanks for tuning in. This has been Ricel 1919. I'll hopefully be back with a few bits and pieces of news throughout the week. But international break, I'll keep an eye on the players that are away in internationals, and I'll maybe give you a shout at that point in time. Thank you, and marching on together.